So conference realignment, for those who don't know, the Pac-12 is basically screwed. They're all leaving. Everyone left the Pac-12. Colorado has gone to Big 12. Oregon, Washington has gone to the Big 10. Arizona State, Arizona, Utah, Big 12. There are now rumors that Stanford and Cal may go to the Atlantic Coast Conference. California University. Is it University of California or California University?
University of California, UC
Which
Berkeley.
is literally on the Pacific Coast, maybe
Yep.
in
Yep.
the Atlantic Coast Conference. Just shows that
Yeah.
NCAA conference is wild. Anyway, but Stanford and Cal may go to ACC. I mentioned Washington, Oregon, the Big Ten. What new school matchup are you most excited about, and in what event?
All right, you're
Is it
looking at this from a positive angle, which
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing. This is a track podcast, so I guess we're looking at it from the track perspective, because from the football perspective, as someone who grew up on the West Coast, I absolutely hate this. It has bothered me for days. I think it's ridiculous. I think lighting all this tradition that we had on fire just because 10 years ago some conference commissioner made a bad TV deal is just a horrible place to be in. I understand all the money at stake, but it just still just leaves you with just a empty feeling. Now
What
you're
do you think is
asking me,
worse? What is worse, Oregon going to the Big Ten or Oregon tearing down Hayward Field?
it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about that exact combination the other day when this announcement came. And I said, if you had told me in 2014 or 2015, there would be no Hayward Field and there would be no Pac-12, I would have thought you lost it. I would have thought you were crazy. Like that just did, like you think you can count on some of these. Now I know there's a new Hayward Field. I get it. And Oregon's still going to play football games. They're going to play against Washington and Autzen Stadium's still there and all that stuff. But I grew up watching the conference. I lived in Tucson for a few years. So I obviously lived in LA for a few years. I'm not the guy beating his chest, like chanting for my conference. I think that's weird. I think you cheer for teams, not conferences, but I hate it. And the big thing that's overlooked here is sports like track and field.
Yeah.
The non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports. And what's the main complaint about it? Travel. Now, cross country, track, they're not traveling a ton, do they?
But the distance people go to California. The sprinters will go to Florida. Right. The cross-country runners will go to Wisconsin or Indiana. Like, when it comes to track, you don't compete enough where you go to where you need to go. There's no, your conference dual meet schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no Wednesday night, Washington's going to go against Rutgers in volleyball. Or Washington's going to go into Rutgers in volleyball. Like that's just not going to, I don't think it's going to happen in track and field. Okay. So what new matchup? So I was intrigued by the fact, so Big 12 obviously now gets 4 more teams, right? Utah, Colorado, Arizona State are all being added. I thought the additions before that, we talked about this before with BYU and Houston, made it a very intriguing conference because you added one of the best sprint programs and one of the best distance programs to a conference that already had some top teams. Now, Texas and Oklahoma are leaving, but throwing in Colorado there makes that distance meet pretty interesting. I mean, the sprints will still be good, but you have Colorado, you have BYU, you have Oklahoma State, you have Iowa State as well. And there's other teams, obviously, like Utah has been really good on the women's side. Yeah. So that was sort of interesting. I guess, I mean, the Big Ten is just ridiculous now. USC, UCLA, and I don't know, man. I can't wrap my head around it. And how much does it matter? How much do they care about conference meets? I know coaches care about it because they're reviewed based on conference championship meets, but if you get 7th in this new Big Ten, is that better than 3rd in the old Pac-12? Like, how are they going to structure this?
At the end of the day, I mean, we have it happens so often where like Florida will get third at the SEC and then win the national championship because
Right.
track
So I don't know
and
how much it
field
matters.
scoring is weird at a conference level. I'm just excited for seeing like Jerry Schumacher now going up against Wisconsin. And you have Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin, three big distance juggernauts, all now in the same conference. Now, yes, you lose the Stanford there,
I mean, you
but
had
basically it took all because you looked at Stanford. I mean, Pac-12 is like Colorado, Stanford, Washington, and Oregon.
yeah,
Arguably four of the top 10 distance programs. And
right.
now they're all spread out, and now they're all attacking Big 10 and Big 12, and Stanford might go up against. I mean, seeing an NC State versus Stanford women cross country dual meet, not dual meet, but like dual meet style championship
Conference meet.
because NC State dominates ACC, right? Sure, North
Yeah.
Carolina tries to fight. Virginia Tech might have a good whatever, but NC State women, it's not even a test. But now you put in the Stanford women, if they're having a good year, that makes that. The one conference I like most of all conference championships, and it's a bummer because this conference isn't really going to be a thing anymore. But my favorite conference championship to watch every year was the West Coast Conference men's cross country championship because you had BYU in Portland, throwing a little bit of Gonzaga, but really it was BYU in Portland, and it was just fun seeing like a dual meet between two great programs. BYU normally would win a lot, but Portland could hold their own sometimes. Just seeing that matchup was really fun. And I like it now that the best teams of the Pac 12 are all going to be now making it harder for Wisconsin to dominate the Big Ten, making it harder for Oklahoma State and Iowa State to own the Big 12, making it harder for NC State to own ACC. Yes, it's just one race that really doesn't mean anything because everyone just cares about nationals at the end of the day. But it's fun now. I don't know. It'd be fun to see Stanford, NC State at ACC cross country. I don't know. Sue me. I'm excited.
They're gonna need a bigger. They're gonna need a bigger start line. I don't know how much it matters. I just don't know how
It
much
matters
it matters.
absolutely nothing. It means nothing.
No, but it does. A Big Ten title means more now than it used to, wouldn't you say? It means your team's even better than it was before. I'm sure there's some sports and some conferences where it shook out to where it's basically the same because maybe the programs they added in those sports aren't that good. But like winning a Big Ten title now in cross country when you have to beat the old Big Ten teams plus you have to beat the new additions, yeah, it means more. But I'm saying for the teams who don't win, what are the it's just you're being graded on a different scale now with these super duper. I mean, literally, there's 18 teams.
Yeah, if you think about that,
18.
That's going to help those cross country teams prepare for regionals and nationals because it's going to be able to get used to running in bigger crowds. Helps them out with that.
Yeah.
It will for track though. It's going to be harder to make the conference meet. Right?
Oh my gosh, the conference meet's going to be 7 weeks long. Like, what are we doing here? How long is that meet going to be?
There's going to be 18 teams who aren't going to be able to. Yeah. I mean, how
that's going to be a sticking point.
18 teams in a 4x4. There's going to be 3 heats of the 4x4.
How are they going to do indoor? How are they going to do indoors? How's that going to work?
Yeah, how do you do indoor? Big Ten indoor 4x4. How are they going to do that? That's a good point.
So
that's the biggest winners and losers. The losers is the 7th best 4x4 program in the Big Ten now because they won't be able to be on that final starting line.
So the Big Ten indoors used to do it. I don't know if they still do, but I commented one. They do their 4x4 in a unique way. They look at the team scores and they put the top teams based on team scores in the same heat. And I think that's half of the field. And then the other half is based on seat time.
Smart.
So they try to make it this exciting, culminating event where the team title could be on the line. You're not just comparing times. But yeah, you better get extra, I don't know, book extra hotel rooms in Geneva, Ohio, or wherever you're going for Ann Arbor, wherever Big Ten indoors is going to be. I just, when A&M goes to the SEC, it's okay, cool. Like, not really. Like, you lose something, right? Texas can't play Texas A&M. Like, that's not fun. But those were small things. Just when you drop an entire one of the 5 biggest conferences, tradition is what makes college sports cool. That's what makes it. That's what separates it from the professionals. Is they have
Rick
this element of tradition.
Rick Pitino, famous college basketball coach, he tweeted something that could have just solved the problem. He's like, "We get it. Money matters for conference realignment, and that's why they're doing it. But maybe there needs to be two tiers. There needs to be football conferences and then all other conferences. So, like, sure, Big Ten, do your 20 teams, but Pac 12, you still exist for all the Olympic sports. Big Ten
Yeah,
normally, so you just keep it. But the reason why you can't do that, though, is
money,
football pays for all those
money,
Olympic
money,
sports as travel. Yeah.
money. Yeah, yeah. You'd need to figure out how to fund the conference infrastructure itself. Isn't that
Yeah.
essentially what BYU's been doing? They're independent in football, and then they're West Coast Conference in the other sports. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And then
But now they're all going to Big
Notre,
12. Yeah.
yeah, but Notre Dame, ACC. I mean,
Yeah.
for other sports and independent in football. Haven't liked any of it. I liked it when Big Ten, or sorry, Pac-10 was Pac-10 too. But again,
All right.
it's been a rough couple years for tradition for me as it pertains to college sports.